What's going on, YouTubers? I'm back in the US. Freaking got this headache. Anyways, I need to change the oil on the 2023 Nissan Versa. I already put it up in the on the ramp so I can change the oil. Let me show you guys. All right, so this is what you need for the 2023 Nissan Versa. So you need a 14 millimeter wrench, 14, and then you need a 4.5 quart of 0W20, and then of course now an oil filter. That's the serial number if you go to one of those auto parts. And you always want to get this, the 10,000 miles. So I changed oil on this one every 10,000 miles. And then if you look at the oil filter, it's really small. So I wasn't sure if I'm able to loosen it by hand. So because of that, I got one of these adjustable oil filter wrench. So I will use this only to remove the oil filter, and then when I'm putting this new one, I'm just gonna hand tighten it. And then of course this ratchet is for this tool. So normally I don't need this tool. I just change the oil with this with my hand. But lately I can't even do any more physical work. But check out my baby, guys. Oh, look at that. Oh, damn, that's the SS, baby. All right, so the reason why I'm back here in the US, I'm waiting for my Hellcat. Can you say Hellcat? All right, let's go with the. Damn, I'm still get this headache. I'm lack of sleep. Anyway, so let's start with the oil change. All right, guys, this is the underneath the engine. This is the oil pan, and there's the oil filter. So towards the back, that's the bolt right there. That's the bolt. 14 millimeter. We're gonna go lefty loosey, guys. Man, it's so windy here. Look, it sprayed all the oil out here. So no oil change if it's windy. All right, so while that's draining, let's get this thing open. So I'm gonna try to do it with hand first. Let's try it, because I used to do this in high school. I used to do this by hand. Fuck it. Too tight. Let me use the tool. So this is the special tool to remove the oil. So I'm gonna go lefty loosey. So this is supposed to open up the oil filter. All right, so here's the bolt. You can see the pressure washer, or not pressure washer. I forgot what this thing is called. I think it's a washer, but it's in there. Make sure you wipe this down to make sure there's no other washer, if there's any washer. So I'm gonna use. It's kind of hard to do this with a camera and doing it by one hand. So what I'm doing is I'm wiping it, making sure there's no washer or any other part. You can see. Okay, we're good there. And then this one, the bolt. Put it in. Make sure you do this by hand. Okay. Then wipe it down. Where's my wrench at? You don't really need this to be really super tight. So we're gonna go righty-tighty, guys. I'm just gonna use one hand. Notice how I'm holding my hand on the wrench, not out here, but more inside. So I'm gonna go right. I'm just gonna go snug. Oh, that's good. That's good right there. Make sure everything is wiped down. Then here the oil filter. So you can see this oil filter housing. You gotta wipe it down. Okay, because it has to be bare metal like this. So wipe it down. So let's go and prepare the oil filter. All right, so I opened the oil cap, removed it. Make sure you take off all the foil because we don't want any foil going inside the engine. Okay, make sure you take out all the oil. I can't even talk right now. Make sure you remove all the oil because there's a foil right here. Make sure you rip it all out. Don't leave any foil. So here's the man, I can't even talk right. Oil filter. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get some oil from here. Okay, and then I'm gonna put some oil on the gasket. Alright, so I already prepped the oil filter. So you notice the gasket, it has oil rubbed in on the gasket. Alright, so is it right here? Normally, back then, when I used to be a mechanic, I used to fill this up with oil and then you tighten it. So this oil filter used to fill it up. But you know, it hasn't been proven that you have to do that. Because there's some cars, the oil filters are like this, sideways. So how do you fill that up? What about the oil filter that's up and down like this? See? And they haven't proved that is necessary. So in my case right now, I'm not gonna put any oil. I'm good. So I'm gonna do this by hand. Come on, dude. There we go. I catch. Okay, so in here, I wanna wipe my hand really clean, and then I want to wipe this one really clean. So now see how, okay, so as you know, as you're turning, it makes contact right there. It's like snug right now, okay, so it makes contact and it's snug. I'm gonna snug it just a little bit more. I don't want to use any tool in here because when I used to turn wrenches, I put a wrench here to tighten it up, you know, the oil wrench, and then it nicked just a little bit. It didn't, nothing happened. So I tightened it with the wrench, and then it nicked it just a little bit. Then about 1,000 miles later, that thing was spewing out oil. I was driving my car and I was on the 605 going on the 60 freeway, I believe, and I lost oil pressure. That's how I knew. As soon as I lost oil pressure, I shut off the engine right away and pull over, and then I checked to see why I lost oil, and then it was dripping from there. And then of course I had to get my homie to come and pick me up, and then we have to get a new oil filter. And I have to do this on the side of the freeway. Anyway, so let me focus on this. I'm gonna snug this up by hand. I'm not gonna use any tool. All right, so I snug it up, and then I wipe this down. I wiped down the bolt area, wiped it down, and I wiped the oil filter down. The reason for that is when I started the engine, I'm gonna look for oil leak. So here, when you tighten it by hand, I guess you're gonna have to use experience. You know what you could do is hand tighten it, And then when you start up the engine and then check for an oil leak, just kind of like, just remember, if it does leak a little bit, you just have to tighten it just a little bit. So it's just by experience. I just don't want to use any tool on this thing. Alright, just my preference. But if you want to use a tool to tighten it, then go right ahead. But it's your car. It's not my car. Anyway, so let's double check before we do anything else. I already tightened up the bolt. I tightened up the oil filter. I wiped it down. I'm ready to add oil. It's 4.5 quart. Alright, this is the oil cap. You can see here's the engine. The belts are here in the front. So here's the oil cover, oil filler cover. So take this out, make sure there's no dirt that goes in, and then place this somewhere here that you don't forget. And then this one, the oil funnel, I cleaned the inside and outside, making sure there's no dirt in there or debris. So let's use this, and I'm gonna put 4.5 quart. All right, so the Nissan requires 4.5 quart. So this one is a 5 quart bottle. So right there. So that's I left half quart. So that gives me 4.5 quart for the Nissan. Let's move on. Here's the critical step, guys. Critical step. Number one, make sure the cover for the oil filler is on and it's nice and snug. That's number one. Okay, and you know you put oil in here. And then number two, you're gonna check your oil dipstick here to see the amount of oil you put in there. So this one is like a double check of filling up the engine with the proper oil level. All right, so number one, put this cap back on nice and snug. Check your oil, make sure it's correct level. And lastly, make sure you check the oil filters tight and the bolt, the oil pan bolt is tight. So those are critical, very critical. I've been a mechanic for a while back in my younger days, and there's tendencies that you'll forget the oil cap or oil cover, oil filler cover. Some mechanics I know have forgotten them. So you got to make sure you put the oil cover back. Number two, some mechanics forgot to put oil, so you got to double check you got oil, and then double check the oil filters on tight, and then last, the bolt for the oil pan is tight. All right, 4 things, guys. So now I'm gonna start up the car. I'm gonna fire it up, and then on the dash you're gonna see some tea kettle. That's the sign of oil pressure. The tea kettle should not appear. It should appear when you first start it, and then it should disappear. So no tea kettle, if you know what I'm talking about. A tea kettle. As soon as you start the engine, tea kettle, which should disappear. If it stayed on, shut off the engine right away. So, okay, here we go. When you start up the engine, turn it on, look for the tea kettle. Tea kettle should be gone. Then immediately go outside, go underneath the car, look for oil leaks. If there's no oil leak, then that's good. All right, let's do that. I'm not gonna do the film because it's pretty much straightforward. All right, let me do my double check. Let me do my checks, all the checks, and then we'll conclude after. All right, so in conclusion, I checked the cap, checked the oil level, double checked the oil plug and the oil filter, start up the engine, and then the tea kettle symbol, that's gone. and I let it run at about 30 seconds. I'm also using my ear to listen for weird sound or abnormal sound. It sounded normal. And then after 30 seconds of it running, and then I waited till about another 30 seconds, so about 1 full minute. Shut off the engine. I mean, excuse me. While it was running, I went outside and checked the underneath the vehicle, checking for leaks. There was no leaks. And then shut off the engine, and then double check the oil level. It was perfect. That's it, and I just have to clean up. So the most important part of the oil change is double checking what I just mentioned a while ago. Cap restored back to normal. The oil level, the oil plug restored back to normal, and the new oil filter. Start it up, let it run for about a minute. While it's running, check for oil leaks. And also, at the same time, when you first start the engine, make sure the tea kettle is gone. It's not there. Because the tea kettle, what it means is no oil pressure. If the tea kettle is on and is visible, then the oil pressure is not there. That means you don't have oil. That's it, guys. I hope this will help you guys. And now, I'm waiting for my Hellcat, guys.